This video is on regression analysis on the TI-84. Regression analysis is the name of the process used to find a line of best fit. There are 4 steps, to this process, and I will show you a video on each one of these 4 steps. But first we need some data to work with. Joey's Ice Cream Shop keeps track of how much ice cream is sold versus the noon temperature of the day. The table represents the figures for the first 11 days. So we want to create a scatter plot, find a trend line for the data, and then we're going to use that trend line to find the expected ice cream sales on a 70-degree day. Notice in Joey's study, none of the days had a 70-degree temperature. You can see that by looking at the first column. Step 1 is to turn on Diagnostics. To turn on Diagnostics, you need to notice that above the 0 it says Catalog in blue. If you hit the second function button and then the 0 key, it pulls up an alphabetical listing of all the things the calculator does. So we're going to scroll on down to the D's, and then we're going to find a specific command called Diagnostic On. Once you find it, you have to hit Enter twice to make it happen. The next step is to enter the data. To enter the data, we're going to return to that Stat button that we learned about in a previous video. It's a black key near the arrows, so press Stat, choose Edit by hitting Enter. Notice I've already put most of the data in. Here's the first column, those are the temperatures. In the second column, here are the ice cream sales. Now I've left the last few out so we can do them together. So this one is $544, and then we have $445, Enter, and then $408. And then you have to hit Enter to make sure the number goes into the table. So now we have all the data entered into the calculator. Now we want to graph the data. Because this data is bivariate, there are 2 variables, which means our graph is going to be a scatter plot. Now to draw statistical graphs, we need to use the stat plot command, which is above the y equals key. So we're going to hit second function and then the y equals. Turn on one of the plots and choose the type you want. Now we want a scatter plot. So we hit Enter. And then once we hit Enter, it's going to ask us if we are sure of where our data is. Our X list is L1 and our Y list is L2, and that's correct. So leave those alone and hit Zoom 9. Zoom 9 is Zoom Stat. And it draws the scatter plot. Our next step is to calculate the line of best fit, also called the trend line. To calculate the trend line, we want to return to that Stat key. But this time, when we hit the Stat key, we're going to choose a menu called Calc for Calculate. So it's across the top. There it is, Calc. The 4th choice in this list is LinReg. That stands for linear regression, and that's what this process is called. So we're going to choose 4. Again, it's going to ask us if our X list and our Y list are correct. And now we want to store the regression equation. To store the regression equation, you want to hit the, it's Y1 is what we're going to call it. So we're going to hit the trace key, the alpha key, and then the trace key. And Y1 is right there, hit Enter, and now calculate the regression line. Now here are my values for my regression line. A is the slope, it's 14.9 approximately. B is the y-intercept, it's negative 591.1 approximately. We also have the correlation value right here. Remember, 1 is perfect, and this data was very, very straight. So R equals 0.97 is really close to 1, and this is not a surprise. Now we want to look at the graph again. Because we store the regression equation as y1, the calculator will actually draw the trend line for us on the scatter plot. So what we're going to do is simply press the graph key, and we'll see the scatter plot with the trend line superimposed. Now this is really helpful because we can use the trend line to make predictions. To do that, we hit the trace key. Notice we start out on the plot, on plot 1. It says plot 1 right there at the top. Hit the down arrow, and now it says y1 at the top. Move to the right until the x value at the bottom is approximately 70. That represents a 70-degree temperature. When you see x equals 70, the y value, which is $450, represents the expected ice cream sales. This video has been on linear regression on the TI-84. Thank you for watching.